In Matthew's book, Jesus said, go into all the land, take the word, share it, teach it, preach to every man.
Hello, this is Dr. Gregg Mays with your Word Wednesday. I want to put a thought in your head, and that is this. If you want somebody to walk right with Christ, what you say to them may not necessarily have a major effect, especially compared to how you live. What you say, it matters. But how you live, that matters as well. Let's take a look at Jesus' interactions with three people. Three people that we might even consider looking down our nose at. One of them is the adulterous woman. The adulterous woman found, this story is in John 8. The adulterous woman is brought to Jesus, and the people say, these Pharisees, these teachers of the law, these holier than thou folk, they say, teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. Now the law of Moses says that such a woman must be stoned. And Jesus, being who he is, he's kind of leaning down and kind of writing in the dirt or the sand there. And then he stands up and he says, let him, of you who is without sin, cast the first stone. And then, the Bible tells us he gets back down and he begins writing or drawing in the sand a little bit more. And the Bible tells us, one by one, from the oldest to the youngest, these men began to walk away. And then Jesus looks up and asks the woman, where are those who are accusing you? Is there anyone who would condemn you? And she said, no. And he said, neither do I condemn you. Watch this. He says, go and leave your life of sin, or go and do not sin anymore. In other words, in that moment, I feel like Jesus is acknowledging, hey, I get it. You weren't doing right, but you don't have to keep that up. You can go and sin no more. Changing a life. How? By his action, or in this case, his inaction. Was he not worthy to throw the stone? For he himself was without sin. But he was looking to heal this woman. He was looking to allow this woman to come to know God through him by his actions of love. And then we see the Samaritan woman found in John chapter 4. And we see Jesus come up and he's speaking with her, and he begins to tell her things about her life. And he begins to share with her this idea that he is living water, and if that she would learn from him or take a drink from him. This is a podcast also. For those of you out in the podcast land, when I said take a drink, I did the air quote things. If you're watching the video, you saw that. Anyway, back to the story. And so, if she would take a drink from him, then she would never thirst again. And so, of course, her attitude is, well, give me some of that water. And he begins to explain to her things about her life that only a prophet would know. And so she goes away, having been with Jesus. She goes back to the city and begins to encourage people to come and to hear from Jesus themselves. Jesus, in that moment, his actions of love, his actions of interacting with a despised Samaritan, because the Jews didn't do that, his actions changed her life. But not only that, the people in the village, they must have seen something, because they would not even go get water with her. And yet they're following her to come see this man they call Jesus. Could he be the Messiah? This is what she was saying when she went back to the town, the village, to get the people to come out. And then we see Jesus make a connection with Zacchaeus. This is found in Luke chapter 19. And we hear the story, and Zacchaeus goes and he climbs a tree because he was so short he couldn't see over the people, and he wanted to see Jesus. But Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and the Jews did not like them because many times tax collectors would take a little extra, put it in their pocket and go on about their business. So the Jews were not happy with them. But what happens? Jesus says, hey, come down. I'm coming to your house. I've got to come to your house. And Jesus coming into his home, sharing his love, Zacchaeus changes, and he begins to give half of half of what I own to the poor. And if I've cheated anyone, I'll give them 4 times that amount. Zacchaeus changed by Jesus' actions, his love, his willingness. Watch this. This is where I'm going to mess some people up. His willingness to be accepting of Zacchaeus, accepting of the adulterous woman, accepting of the Samaritan woman who had 5 previous husbands, and the man she was with now was not her husband. In that day, that was something that was absolutely frowned upon. But Jesus looked past all of that to show love, genuine love. Not because you were doing wrong, go ahead and keep doing it. No, remember, he says don't do that anymore, but now you can start anew. This is what we must do. This is how we must live. People are going to look at your life. They're going to look at how you live for Christ, and that's how they're going to be making their change. It's okay to share the gospel. You must share the gospel. At some point, you have got to share this gospel, that Jesus Christ came and he died so that their sins could be forgiven. But you also have to live in such a way that people will look at your life and glorify our Father in heaven. I pray that this is a blessing for you. And remember, stay strong.
So what you waiting for? Someone to feel the pain some more? Cause you ain't share the love, the grace you found within the Father's care. To share the love of God is more than just a simple job. It's Christ speaking the off a Holy Spirit law. Share it.